I think that the friends that you keep around as parents are, if not as important.
What if the kid is an amazing kid, but the parent is trash?
Mine.
So, so do you think that the kids should know where the guns are?
You can attack everything.
You need to get things done.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Millennial Dads. Here with my left hand man, Max.
What's going on, guys?
All right, we're back. Obviously, Esteban right here, right in front of you. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate your love. Keep sending those likes, guys.
And don't forget to leave a comment as well. Any questions, whatever. I'm all for constructive criticism too. So even if you want to talk some shit, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that just motivates me if we're gonna do that. Yeah.
Exactly. We talked about a lot on the last episode, and I know that I brought up some friendships and everything, like as far as who I allow around my kids and everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important who you let around your kids and all that, and why?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, big influence on your kids can affect of how they grow up, and it's our job as parents to make sure we surround our kids with the best kids possible. You know, we don't want to just let anybody in there because they lead them to other things, and next thing you know, they're off the course that we put them on. So yeah, man. What do you think, Max? Do you think that it's a pretty huge topic?
It is because I got called in kind of a name because someone asked me why I don't kind of let certain individuals around my kids, but I'm kind of around them. And it's just specifically because I don't want them around my kids.
Yeah.
And it's because, like you said, the kids, especially if they're like real older and the kid is already trying to look up to them, like what are they idolizing? What is that adult idolizing? Because they're looking at you as the more mature, more life experience individual, and they may see what you're doing and they may think it's okay just
Yeah.
because you're doing it.
Yeah, very impressionable.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm so kind of strict when people are around my kids. And I'm just glad my kids are at the age now where they've developed their own type of morals and ethics, and I'm just their left and right limit where they do come up and ask me, questions and why are they doing this? Why does he act like that? Why did he respond like that? Or even a female, it doesn't matter. I just don't want people around my children that they could possibly look up to. And in the back end, I don't want to tell my kids exactly what that individual is doing. And then
Yeah.
it shatters them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you hit it there because some things are best, left unsaid.
Exactly.
And that's why they come around when they come around.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
But it's like there's some people that I love dearly with all my heart, and I monitor them from afar, and I talk about them because they're a part of my life a lot. But do I necessarily want them around my kids? No, not at all. Because I don't want them to get certain traits that they're doing without trying to be specific, like partying, idolizing money, idolizing objects, idolizing things that don't really matter.
Nope.
Does that make sense? Because especially nowadays with the kids and their friends, you see it even more with friends. But in my opinion, I think it's more impactful on the kids when they see adults doing it too.
Yeah.
It's easy to, correct a kid and tell your kids what another one of their friends is doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Versus an adult.
Yeah.
You're trying to justify an adult's actions.
Yeah. Some parents have that do as I say, don't do as I do.
Exactly.
You know?
What about you? What's your take on it? Do you kind of just not care? Do you feel that adults will impact your kids, or do you think they're at an age right now where they're not even really aware of it.
No, I definitely think they're conscious of what is going on around them. They might not see it and process it fully, but I think that the friends that you keep around as parents are, if not as important as your kids' friends, because who we lead into their lives usually brings their kids and their morals around, and we want to make ourselves better by hanging around with people that we look up to, as well as we enjoy our company time with. And it's not always about drinking, getting drunk, or you know occasionally we do that when we watch fights, but we want to make it a social thing where we're doing things that are active. We're making our kids go outside. So I do believe that the people that you have should be positive for your family going forward, for sure.
Now here's a even a kind of a more of a tougher topic. Now what if the kid is an amazing kid, but the parent is trash?
Man, yeah, it's yeah, and then you got to pick and choose when you come around them and like try to hang out with them, and you don't get along with that person. That's a tough situation too, man, because you love the kid and you don't want him to, because it's easy just to turn your head and just be like, oh, it is what it is, instead of trying to help that kid. Man, that's a tough question, Max. I feel like you still got to throw out like a little life raft, or try to reach out for them, because you might not get them while they're in their teens, but they might come back to you while they're 18, where they're able to make decisions on their own, and then you can reconnect, rekindle that spark that got you interested in that kid to begin with. Because parents can hinder their kids that way, you know,
How so?
by just keeping them away from something that's good for them, and they're just bitter that they can't provide that for them. A lot of parents do that. They envy other people and seeing them as enemies, instead of stop comparing yourself to them and use them as a positive role model in your kid's life. Because you can't be everything. You know.
No, you can't, and that's why I ask, because I do run into that from time to time, where the kid is amazing, and then you look at the parents and you're just like, how in the world is this kid so amazing? But
Yeah. What happened? Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah. And most of the time it doesn't work out that way, dude. The kid just like their parents,
Yeah.
stubborn, hateful, or whatever they got going on with themselves.
Now, do we still allow our kids outside of the parents, like say hang out with them on their own time or anything like that? I mean, because I know for me, with with my son, he has a big heart, and he'll tell me like what kind of goes on a little bit, and for me, I always got to meet the parents. I always have to. Same, it's a rule that I kind of grew up with my parents, and I never really kind of understood why. But nowadays, with everything that's going on in the world and how the access to information as far as the internet age, it's crazy how many things that are really out there in the world, like pedophiles and all that stuff. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't
which
want
really
to.
close to home too. Like people you could know for your whole life.
Yeah, it's crazy because I remember I put on that dang app and it looked like chickenpox were on my phone.
I wouldn't even want to know.
Dude, I like Mariana was gonna do it, and I was like, don't do it. Like, just don't, because you won't even walk outside. And
And they have to broadcast that too. They have to
it,
let you know.
yeah, and I mean, so I do think that as parents we do need to be aware of our friends, and because your kids are aware.
Yeah,
They are very observant, and they can fall down the wrong road and idolizing certain things. And I saw my son going down that road a little bit, and because one of our friends he has a lot of money, but he You can tell he's not happy. You can tell that he sucks as a leader. He just he has a lot of money, but you can tell that there's something missing, to be honest. And
Yeah.
that's my biggest fear when it comes to my kids. I don't want them idolizing the wrong things
Yeah.
at all. And what about friends in general for your kids? Why do you think it's important for your kids to pick the right friends? Because some parents don't care.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't always pick the right friends, right? You I don't want to say try to change that person, but you just gravitate to the person that doesn't benefit you the most, and it doesn't really work out in the long run. But I feel friendship at an early age is very important because you have someone to go through problems with and kind of bounce ideas like, hey, this is happening to me at my home. Is this happening to you? How are you getting on growing up that way? Or you just ride your bikes together, get, pass time, get out of the house. It's always good to have those kids that aren't stuck on the TV, that aren't always on a tablet, worried about the next Roblox game coming out. So it's good to have those active friends. So definitely you gotta pick and choose as a parent and make sure you're letting the right kid in. Because if you're letting the wrong kid in, you want them to be active. You want them to be outside, drinking water, getting some sun. Some kids are just really homebodies.
No, I agree. I mean, they can be outside at 11 o'clock at night riding their bikes
That's
while
right.
their dads are doing a podcast.
Some summer nights, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And um, do you think that it's important for us to know what's going on in our friends, our kids' friends' homes?
Yeah, especially if you're gonna let them go into their house. Because COVID got all weird about that, right? You don't know what their germs are. So even
You brought up COVID.
right, even if that wasn't even in our minds, I mean, still thinking the way that they're brought up, the way that they run their dinner table. Do they say grace when they eat? Like little things like that. It changes the way that you think of how your kid's safety comes into another parent's hands. Because they might be more lenient. They might let your kids go out at 11 o'clock without someone out there riding their bikes, and then they get hit by a car
Yeah.
because you don't. They're probably drinking a beer or watching ESPN. Like, so some parents have more lenient rules, and some parents are more kind of really on their kids. And I like to have a mixture of both, but at a young age, like around 7, before they're even 10, you got to be with them no matter what, whatever they're doing. It could be simple as riding their bikes. So yeah, it does matter. You need to meet the parents and take the time to see who your kid is gravitating to. You know?
And it might be a touchy one. What about politics? I mean, if the family has different values and or ethics, then I think is a big one. That's kind of an easy one. But what about politics?
Yeah, politics is tough. I mean, as long as they're not pushing something that you don't believe onto your kids, I feel wherever they stand is their business. Like, for instance, a lot of people didn't like guns. To be in your house.
Yeah,
Obviously you trained your kids. To understand what a weapon is, and I kind of want that for my kid. So that's what I'm leaning towards you for that. For that help for me to understand that because
yeah,
I don't even know how to provide that.
yeah. I mean, for some people may not care about people's politics. I am not gonna lie. Um, me me specifically being in the service, I do have certain political values, but then again, mine is based off of experience
Yeah.
and the things that I've had to deal with through different administrations. I enlisted under Obama, but the thing is like there's some people that are extreme right, extreme left.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
I'm very in between. I look at the policies before I look at the person. I can care less if the dude has mean tweets or if the guy can't walk. I look at the policies and what's going to be best for the country. Fiscally, I'm very conservative when it comes to our government spending and the things that we do. And then when it comes to certain laws, I'm very liberal.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends. And for me, that's a big thing because it does affect the whole entire collective as far as the United States. And if you get mad at me because I'm rocking an American flag, because nowadays the American flag is like, there's parents out there that hate it. There's parents that will come up and try to rip your flag off because they think it symbolizes something else when it's the United States. We got the best damn flag that's out there.
Not realizing it's for our country.
And it irritates me because it's hard. It does irritate me, but at the same time, my son asked me a question today. Actually, when we went to go drop, put the stuff in the dumpster, he was like, "Dad, that doesn't irritate you?" I said, "No, it doesn't because that's why I put on my uniform every single day is for the First Amendment
Yeah.
and the Second Amendment,
Yep.
and." Every amendment that we have, our Constitution is what I fight for. I literally drive around with the Constitution in my truck.
Hmm.
If there's any laws or anything that go against that, I am not for it one whatsoever. And I'm through and through. Like if you're a Republican, I could care less. If you're going against our Constitution, I got a problem.
So, quick question then. Do you feel that kids should be prepared in firearms? Like, should they be, educated in that?
For me, I mean, for me, yes, I do. Because if it's going to be in your home, everybody needs to know how to use it and understand it. And most importantly, respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My son, we can literally have him come out here. I'll tell him to go in the locker, pull out a weapon, and he knows what to do with it. Same with my daughter. My little one, no, he's not allowed around him.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're at the range, it's very different. I get things set up for him. I have a tripod, all that, and he enjoys shooting, right? But he's shooting a little 22 LR, very little. It's so he feels like he's a part of it. And but with my other two, they grew up around him. I had my son, my older son, shooting when he was 8 years old. We did a school project on ballistics. The principal loved it, and he happened to be prior service. He was like, "Hey, you guys did a very good job on ballistics," because I did it of like reloading, like a bullet and a projectile and the velocities with different grain weights, how fast it goes, what affects it. We broke it down, and Isaac was a part of it
That's
every
cool.
single step of the way. He was firing it through the chronograph, figuring out the speed, everything of it. He did the math on the difference, the standard deviations, all kinds of stuff when it comes to the bullet and its velocity. So we did it with pistols and we did it with rifles.
That's awesome.
He literally got an award for it, but couldn't move on to the regional side of it because it dealt with guns. So
Wow.
how before I get into it, like I'm a firm believer on this one. I can talk all day about guns.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Like someone that's outside looking in,
Yeah.
how do you feel about it?
Yeah. As a civilian, I didn't really grow up around guns. I had my dad's gun. It was passed on to me when he died. I barely know how to use that because of my brother. But I feel you should be prepared that if in any situation, you should be able to defend your family. Even if your father isn't there, you should be able to know what's going on, what's in your house, and if it's an intruder, you should be able to defend and help your mother. And it doesn't matter what sex, that should be unisex, male or female, daughter or son. You should be able to at least load and aim and focus on that. Definitely. So I agree. Every kid should learn at least by their father or someone that is prepared or qualified to do so. For sure, man. I agree on that. Pro guns here, man.
And they, I mean, even with the statistics that are out today, like even though they're extremely skewed, and not under, a lot of people understand the data, like as far as like mass shootings and everything, and what the FBI and certain organizations, nonprofit organizations, mind you, a lot of them, and how they skew the data. But like, I guess my question is, even with everything that's going on nowadays, you still kind of feel that way?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because if anybody invades us, dude, it's our families. You know, country or not, your first line of defense is protecting your family. And I feel you need every person in your family, capable of doing that. And if we don't prepare them right, then no one will. That's our job as parents. So I do, yeah. Even with the mass shootings, I feel like those people might have got pushed to the edge and kind of was too comfortable and kind of knew where the gun was and something was going on in their mind.
So do you think that the kids should know where the guns are?
Yes, I think so. Because if someone's intruding your house, you need them to step up, and you only do that by preparing them.
Do
You got to understand what kid. I guess that you have to know your child. You got to know what mental state they are in. Are they prepared for that? Are they mature for that? Are they able to take those necessary steps to realize this is a weapon? This can do damage to someone. I need to respect that. Right?
I know you exactly, and I mean the
That's
first
maturity.
It is, and I mean but that being said, when I'm not around, everything is locked up.
Yeah.
Now, I have a rule in my house. It's you're not allowed to touch it because I have my concealed carry permit. I carry a gun with me every day, every single day.
Yeah.
I have it on me. Not to mention, I have used my weapon several times. I shouldn't. I've used it. I've broke leather and I've drawn down on people. My first line of defense, okay, is never my weapon. It is my last resort. My first line of defense is my verbal communication. Secondly, I have enough confidence in my hands. My last resort is pulling out that weapon. And I think that a lot of people have a bad habit of misinterpreting why that weapon is there. It is your last ditch effort. Now, I'm not saying you're going to take on a guy that has a knife and try to defeat him with your hands. Blades are dangerous. I've been stabbed before. It sucks. And it hurts. I'd 100% rather get shot than stabbed.
Really?
Dead serious. So, I mean, if a guy's coming at you with a weapon or with a knife within 21 feet, he can get to you before you draw your weapon. The average person. Now, that goes into training with your weapon. I'm a very big advocate. You better be proficient with it. Mm-hmm. And people may not like to hear this, but if you have a weapon, you need to get training if you're not familiar with it. And I have a rule in my house, though, back to what I was trying to say, is if my gun's on the counter, you are not to touch it. Because sometimes I get home, I take that out, and then I empty my pockets, and then I reholster. Sometimes, because sometimes wearing that thing for 17 hours, sometimes you start to become raw.
Has a little weight on it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. Especially if I'm carrying a full size Glock 17
Yeah.
with a light on it, it gets kind of heavy. But also, I'm protecting people. I mean, I did executive protection for a time, and there's people paying me tons of money to protect them. Like celebrities, high level celebrities. I can't sign an NDA. I can't say their names.
Yeah.
But you know who they are.
Yeah.
So people may not like it, but I'm all for guns and kids. If it's going to be in your house, they need to learn it. They need to respect it. That is the biggest thing, is respect it. And there's trainers out there that know how to train kids. I'm one of them. I have trained every one of my kids, and I am very confident to leave home knowing
awesome.
that if something were to happen, my daughter knows what to do. But you got to have those layers, right? I have beware of my dog out there. Again, the gun is not the last ditch effort.
Yeah.
If you have bad intentions and my sensors go off with my cameras, you see the beware of dog sign, which is a pit bull.
Yeah.
Because I have a very, very mean dog.
Yeah.
If you're still at that point and you're still willing to break in,
Still pressing.
you're still pressing, you're determined. And you're going to get some rounds to your chest and head.
You're gonna get lit up.
You're going to get lit up. And the thing is with my kids too, I have a procedure for my kids. They have a procedure. Someone's at the door, you are not to answer. You are to go to the security system we have because of the camera. You can look at the front door. If a sensor goes off, it triggers that, and they know to go look at it.
Yeah.
Their first thing isn't to go and get the gun.
Yeah.
If it's someone they don't know, and they see that they're there, they are to get. I have a stop box. Stop boxes is my favorite thing to carry the gun in. They know the code. You saw it. It's the
Yeah.
green thing that's on my counter.
Yeah.
I have one in every one of my rooms. Okay. And I'm also going to say there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. It's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
You get training, make sure your kids have training, and that's the biggest thing. If you're going to carry a gun, even though I'm a big gun advocate, I think I'm even more of an advocate of getting proper training for you and your family and having a security plan in place and a response plan in place.
Yeah. I'm
Like,
gonna take you up on that because I'm gonna bring Vanessa shooting too. That way you can show her. Yeah.
I've taught a lot of people how to shoot. A lot of people come to me for gun stuff. That's why I thought I was supposed to do, and I was so gung ho about the gun tube thing.
Yeah.
Is because so many people come to me for shooting their first gun, all these different things. But
Which can still happen. Can still happen, bro.
it still could. But
Yeah.
I'm passionate about both things, and
Yeah.
God led me to this.
Yeah.
And
being
it's
a dad
happening.
is amazing, right?
I love being a
I
dad,
love
dude.
being a dad, dude. Greatest
So,
job I've ever had.
I have so much pride in being a dad.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to start this too, is because I'm so passionate about being a dad, and I want other dads to be passionate about being a dad. You know, I want it to be a thing.
Yeah.
To be a dope ass dad, a
Yeah.
good dad.
Yeah.
Not just a strict dad, not just a provider,
Yeah.
but your kid's best friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so hard to do. Like that's a thin line. Be his best friend, but still discipline him. Still tell him no, because he's gonna hate you. You're not letting me do this. You know?
Yeah. And when it comes to the gun stuff, but also like even with that, it's funny because my kids learned fighting and defending themselves before they learned how to shoot a gun. What about you? Like, what do you feel about it?
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. My son doesn't know how to shoot a gun, so that would be awesome if that did happen. But he's still learning how to defend himself. You know, he's still learning his own strength, and he's a lot stronger than what he thinks. You know, and that's just another thing of keeping your kids believing in themselves. And that's another topic. But definitely teach your kids to defend themselves. They need to be able to protect themselves and their mother and their siblings. So
I mean,
definitely.
it even goes back onto that. And I mean, and another thing too is like I said, my first line of defense, even though I'm carrying a weapon, my first line of defense is not my weapon technique.
But you have your CCW. Wouldn't that be so hard not to just reach to your hip for having your CCW? Because you see all these guys, all these people that have it, they're like feeling threatened when they're getting yelled at. You know, it's just crazy to me that these guys aren't physically hurting you in any way, but you're already grabbing your waist.
I think that's a big thing, and it's because they lack the self confidence of themselves. I've gotten into a lot of fights, even when I've had my gun,
Yeah.
like bouncing at bars, and some of the executive protection things I did. Like when I did for like security and carrying my gun, I've been carrying a gun professionally for a very long time, not just in the military, but on the civilian side.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of experience to where I've gone to toe with people and they're reaching for my weapon. And I've gone toe to toe with people that had a weapon and I didn't even use mine.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But the thing is I had the confidence in my hands and jujitsu, to believe it or not. Like, even though like we spoke about it before,
Yeah.
I never used jujitsu to try to get belts. I didn't want it as a bragging right. I used it because I knew the line of work I was doing and I knew it was going to be a tool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think people don't think they misinterpret it. It is a tool, but also realize your communication skills are a tool as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Words.
does that make sense?
Yeah. No. Absolutely, man.
So I think when it comes to the bullying aspect, I mean, when it comes to bullying, what do you think about it when it comes to the kids? Because that could be a tremendous factor in the home, in what's going on in school. Communication is big, dude. In the marriage with your kids, everything.
Yeah. I think part of it builds a little bit of character, but if it is, progressing at an alarming rate, I feel like then that needs to be addressed. You need to address that and be like, hey, this is happening. Let some teachers know or something in the office because It can get dangerous quick if you don't acknowledge it.
Do you want them to go to the teacher? Or do you want them to come to you?
I feel like if you can't defend yourself, you need to go tell someone that is in charge right there. Obviously, if you can defend yourself, stick up for yourself. Don't start a fight or anything, but stick up for yourself and show them that you're not backing down. And then most of the time that works, most of the time. But other
But what if it
times,
doesn't?
then you might have to get physical and you might lose, but that builds character. I was bullied in high school. I got beat up quite a few times.
What I mean, I got bullied too,
Yeah.
and I had guns in my home. What prevented you from not going in, like the statistics say, getting crazy and going to get a gun and shooting up the place?
I think our parents mentally preparing us. We get tired or we're like, oh, like, no, do it again. Get up. We're sad. There's no time to be sad.
Yeah, but did you? I mean, but when you got bullied, I'm pretty sure you didn't tell your parents, because I know I didn't.
I was embarrassed that I lost and I did not tell my dad. No, because I got beat up. Yeah. But that gave me experience. That made me learn, okay, that was my first fight. I didn't even fight before that. But I had my older brother. My older brother helped me in a lot of fights. He would usually fight the older brother and I had the younger one. So it was pretty cool. But man, bullying, you have to stick up for yourself because then they're just constantly keep grinding on you, dude. You got to. Something. We're back.
Oh, we're back.
Almost done.
Almost.
All right, babe. Love you.
Yeah. So I know you got to get going. I don't even know how long we've been going, but
No, we're fine.
oh no, we're good. We've only been going for 40 minutes.
Yeah, we're fine, dude. I'll wake up early.
I gotta get up early too.
I grind.
So I mean, you're back on topic as far as when it comes to the bullying and everything, but
Oh wait, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's okay? Have you experienced that? Because obviously,
so there was a point in time in Isaac, and this is when me and Mariana's marriage wasn't doing well. I was very worried, and I had as many guns as you see now.
yeah,
So I was aware of it, and I would make sure they were locked, and I would change the code because he knows the code. But during that time, you got to be self-aware of your kids. So it was a time that he was getting a little bullied at school. It was rough at home. It wasn't the greatest environment. It was a lot of emotions, up and down and up and down and up and down. We just started football. I could just see something was off with him.
yeah,
I could just see it.
yeah.
And I even went up to my wife and I go, "Is Isaac okay?" And this is at the time that he wasn't really opening. He wasn't communicating. And that's when I really stepped in and I was like, I'm going to teach this kid how to communicate. So I think it's very key, if they are going through those things, they have to be comfortable in telling you, because he wasn't. I forced it out of him. And it was because I forced it with love, not aggression, nothing. But I was aware of his situation and what he was going through. And there was no way he was going to be able to get his hand on a weapon. And my daughter was at the age where they could stay home alone at that time. And I was like, no.
Do you think that was ever a thought crossing his mind?
No.
Okay.
No. But I wasn't going to allow it to be an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, be aware, and you need to be involved in your kid's life. And I was a little scared, and that's why I was like, okay, he's not going to be a statistic.
Yeah.
This isn't going to happen, because that was my biggest fear at the time. I had weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I barely got Mariana on board about guns. And I wasn't going to allow that to happen. And I'm a firm believer, if you have weapons and your kid's able to get a hold of that damn thing and he does some damage with it, you are held responsible as the gun owner and as the parent. Yeah. I think you should go to prison. And I think that just happened, and I think to a family in Minnesota where the kid ended up doing something at the school. They traced it back, and it was the dad's firearm, and the kid was able to get a hold of it. He ended up, I wish I could pull it up, but the parents got prosecuted for murder. And I was 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
100%.
It's just a tough situation, man. Because I mean, but that's not being connected with your kid. That's being disconnected. That's not knowing their tendencies or where their mind's at. You know, like if they're angry all the time, do you think you should have that around them? You know, if they're a sad kid or a very emotional kid, you know, I just feel like you need to evaluate your family at that point.
Now, does that mean there shouldn't be? Do you think because of the kid that is emotional, do you think that they shouldn't be allowed to protect themselves?
I think they should be monitored until they're mentally strong. Definitely. But definitely keep that away from them. Don't let them know where it's at.
Do you think that it comes with respecting of the weapon and what that weapon can do?
I just think kids can be very angry. They can be very revengeful. And they do opposite things of their parents and what they say just to get a rouse out of them. I've seen it all the time, dude. And those kids are usually disconnected from their parents, divorced, don't have, parents together. Or they're missing something. Something's missing and they're angry. And I feel like with those kids, we need to proceed with caution. And that's where we get massive shootings. People shooting up schools, people doing things that they shouldn't do.
Are you aware of the statistics of mass shootings and how they are calculated?
I'm not, no. But I know that it's happened way more than what we were in school. When we were in school, we got bomb threats. And there was just by someone just to get out of class. And then they'd go ditch while we're all doing fucking fire alarms and shit, going in lines. So it just depends, man. I just think if they're not mentally strong, they need to be watched.
So for people that don't know, to include yourself,
Yeah.
you can look at the Pew Research and everything. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of articles. You can even go on the FBI database and how they determine what a mass shooting is. If you go online and you look at statistics, it's going to give you some crazy ass numbers. But the way that they are calculated, now let's say if there's a drive-by and 3 people get hurt, do you consider that a mass shooting, Steven?
I mean, it's more than one person. What is mass shooting? What is that described as?
What do you know? What do you know a mass shooting to be? What do you think a mass shooting is? What is the most thing that you see in publicized?
Well, yeah, school shootings. Yeah. So what, drive-by would just be another routine? So yeah, so then I would consider that as a mass shooting.
Now, do people have to get injured or do they have to be fatally wounded?
Injured. Well, no, I think even if you're not injured, it still could be considered a mass shooting if guns are fired, or at least a deadly shooting. I don't know about mass shooting because that sounds like a serial killer, right? That's what I would think. So maybe just a deadly shooting.
So the way that it is skewed and the way that it is leveraged when it comes to data is that if I think it's 2 to 3 or more people injured in a shooting,
Yeah.
or so like say me and you got in a shootout, even though my intent was to shoot at you, but it ended up missing and then it hit 3 other people, they consider that a mass shooting. That's why I'm saying that a lot of the data is skewed because me and you both know that's not a mass shooting.
Yeah.
That's 2 dickheads literally firing in a neighborhood or in a crowded place, right? So if you look at what's been publicized and what mainstream media pushes out, a mass shooting is what you like a school shooting. They consider that a mass shooting. Does that make sense? So if it's gun violence is gun violence. Does that make sense? Mass shootings are a different thing in the way that they push them.
Yeah.
It's very different because, like I said, mainstream media pushes it out to be freaking school shootings or like a mall shooting where tons of people are injured. Tons.
Yeah.
Anywhere, for me, 1 is too many. But that being said, the data is skewed. When you go in people in argument against the Second Amendment, they always pull up this data of mass shootings. From everybody across the board, it is the same statistics, same ones that they pull up, but they don't even realize what they're looking at or how the data is collected. They just see mass shootings and they literally relate it to school shootings.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's gang violence.
Yeah.
gang on gang gun violence that is skewing that data. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it has gone up since we were kids. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the data and you look up mass shootings, majority of it is gang violence.
So, do you think that parents not having guns in their house would lower this rate of school shootings?
If a kid is going to do it, a kid's going to do it.
He'll just find a way.
There's too many guns on the street. You
Yeah.
don't need to go to a gun shop to get a gun.
Yeah. So that goes back to that saying: guns don't kill people; people do.
Exactly. The gun, literally, since you've been here, has been on my workbench.
Yeah.
Has it done anything to anybody?
Yep.
That's like literally telling me that a fork makes people fat. Spoons make people fat.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, they just don't have any self-discipline. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I will go to this argument with anybody toe-to-toe any day. I hope we get a guest on here that says you shouldn't have guns.
It's just people clown kids way too hard, and they're really hard on kids, and makes them do drastic things. And that's what brings me to my next topic: is social media. What is a good time to have your kids have social media? Is there any time to have social media? I mean, I don't even like having my son play games on a phone.
For me, when it comes to social media for me, my kids don't have it.
Yeah,
Neither one.
that's good.
They're allowed to scroll through it, but they won't have their own. I'm not going to put up with it. The bullying nowadays is a lot harder than I'm not going to lie. It's a lot harder than what we grew up with.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people are real tough behind the screen.
yeah,
And then the moment I come and I talk to you toe to toe, you got a different tone real quick. You can say all you want. I mean, we had MySpace. I mean, we saw a lot of bullying when it came to MySpace, dude.
yeah. But we only had one computer in our house. Well, at least in my house, we did.
That is very true. I only had one computer as well.
There was one computer that was for projects or anything that you had to type up, and it was a family computer. I just got lucky it was in my room, so I could burn CDs and DJ parties.
That's another thing. I mean, for me, when it comes to social media, I'm just terrified of the I mean, I even doing it as an adult, dude, is compare myself with other people.
I think we're our own worst critic. We're gonna compare ourselves to people that we think are better than us, but in reality, dude, we're right where we need to be. We just gotta grow.
Yeah, dude, because the other day I was looking at podcasts on Instagram. I was looking at podcasts on YouTube. I'm like, why aren't we there yet? And I got to snap out of it.
Yeah.
It just started.
Yeah,
It's just we
yeah.
have higher expectations of ourselves.
it's brick by brick.
Exactly. And then with my kids, do they know how to snap themselves out of it? Because especially with girls, and I have a daughter,
Yeah, girls
You can
probably be
barely-
extra tough. Yeah,
you can go. Girls are nasty.
Yeah.
Like not nasty. Well, some are, but I mean, they can get nasty with each other.
yeah, they're just sneakier with it.
Yeah.
Where the parents can't see it as well.
Yeah, dude. So
They're not as blunt as males are.
with my daughter, she was having issues with certain females, and they weren't being very responsive or receptive of my daughter. She's the new girl, and one minute they want to talk to her and be nice, the next minute they don't. The next minute they want to talk to her and be nice, and then they don't. I mean, they weren't talking shit about her. They just didn't. They didn't say hi. They didn't talk to her or nothing.
Yeah,
So she kept telling me about it. I told her, look, ignore him. Just ignore him.
yeah.
Do what you got to do on the field. You'll be fine. Bro, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. No, not even 3, 2. All the girls are coming out. Bye, Juliana. Bye, this, that, another. And I looked at her and I went,
Told you.
told you. But meanwhile, my wife is trying to do something totally different.
I know.
And these girls, they're not what my wife dealt with. My wife was a hooper.
Yeah,
Totally different. But these girls are girly girl, and they're different.
yeah,
So it's one of those things.
yeah. If you just compete and you're a little talented, people are gonna gravitate to you. And you just gotta let your, don't use your mouth, use your work ethic.
Exactly. So it was a thing on my daughter. So when it comes to the social media, like She can have social media when she gets out of my house. Plain and simple.
Ruthless.
Same with my son.
I agree with you.
I've already seen some shit on my fucking son's phone where I'm like, dude, you're lucky you even got one.
Well, dude, it's so easy to access porn, bro. Oh my god,
That is a whole
if
nother
we had
topic.
this, when we were kid, oh yeah, we'll go over that in the next one. But social media, that's gonna be a hard no for me as well.
Yeah.
I hate my kid even playing Roblox, but whatever.
Because,
It's a
I mean, how do
phenomenon.
you use social media?
When it first came out, I guess you can say a little bit of attention and trying to grab other people's attention, right? Because you were just trying to get at girls all day when you were single, right? You're like,
I mean, for me, I just use Instagram to laugh when I'm on the shitter.
well, now, but when it first came out, it wasn't like that. It was like you take pictures about your life and you just posted them. There wasn't a bunch of podcasts and gimmicks like this now. They barely just started getting little commercials in between each squirrel.
That,
It was a lot more personal back then.
yeah.
Just like MySpace. MySpace was personal. You had a top 5. You had your 5 group of people that you put on your page that you hung out all the time with.
Dude, that's so true. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, it was personal, bro. Like we posted stuff about ourselves. So it just comes at a weird time that now all these younger generations coming in and the way that they perceive it is totally different. People are like, "Oh, we can make money with this."
It's become the town square.
Yeah, yeah. Because you used to go to Shell or Club
Oh,
Shell,
dude.
dude. That's where we used to hang out. Hey, where you going? Oh, we're gonna meet up at Shell. We'll meet you there. That's how we knew. Okay, who's throwing the party? You know, here it's a fingertip away. So it's a crazy time, man. It's a very digital world and it's scary because you can lose yourself in it.
Very easily.
Yeah,
And it could be detrimental to someone's mental health.
yeah. Confidence, self worth. Yeah,
Yeah, like
and people that don't even matter.
my old neighbor tried committing suicide on
Yeah.
social media, dude.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
I saved his life.
People's perspective can be so cruel, bro, and they don't matter. That's another thing. My son, he's a people pleaser, man. He wants to make other kids happy,
I can't stand that.
and I try to tell him. I was like, son, you need to find your happiness. Don't worry about if they're happy. Are you happy?
So, do you want your son to be a follower?
I don't, and I feel like that's so hard to teach someone. Like to teach a kid, don't worry about other kids. Just worry about yourself. They will come. If they don't want to be your friend, then they're not gonna be your friend. It's simple. It's like, how do I explain that to a 7-year-old? They're not gonna grasp that. They're gonna be just like, oh, okay, all right, Dad, but he's mad at me because I didn't stay the night at his house. You know, like little things like that. He drains on that, and he's a nice kid. He means goodwill with it, but at the end of the day, you need to worry about yourself before you can worry about others. You know.
Yeah, I can't. I wouldn't. I don't want my son to be a follower. I mean, he wants to. There's certain things he does, and men, we gravitate towards other alphas. I mean, there are some guys that are weaker, and they do have to be told what to do and how to do it, when to do it. And they need that group gratification to feel like they're doing the right thing or what they need to be doing.
Yep.
In reality, it's hard to teach because I do catch my son sometimes wanting to be a follower, but I think that is, as dads, we need to put our foot down. And you can find like-minded people, hence that are alphas. I am very much type A personality as well as you, but it's not necessarily to compromise. I like to call it collaborate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And with my son, I always ask him why he wants to do something. Why? What's the reason?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And do you think that by him going and hanging out with other people, that's him being a follower or just being social?
My son is a social butterfly, dude. He has a great personality. A lot of people love him. I mean, when we were setting this up today, hi Isaac's dad. I kind of got offended. I was like, I have a name, fucking girl. Like,
No, you're Isaac's dad now.
so it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. As men, we shouldn't be raising our boys to be followers,
Yeah.
because weak men create hard times
Yeah.
and hard times create strong men. Does that make sense?
That's
Or did I
100%
say
true.
that right? No, I said that wrong.
That still
So
made
weak
sense, though.
men create hard times, and hard times create strong men, and strong men create great times. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the full saying. I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but you guys get it.
But
I don't care.
how do you start that process to make them a leader?
It starts now.
Yeah.
It starts now.
Yeah.
Why? I always ask why.
Yeah.
Dad, I want to put the lights in my room. Why? Why? Because you saw it on YouTube and it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, it's not a bad reason. He's not following anybody. He just likes the way it looks.
Yeah.
But then if he tells me, Dad, I want to dress like this. Dad, I want to go do this. Dad, I want this. Why?
Yeah.
Like he wants a Talaria. Why? All my friends have one. Okay. Is there one that's better?
Yeah.
Is there one that's possibly cheaper? No, all my friends have Talarias. But what if I get a Celeron? Well, I forgot what it's called. It's an electric dirt bike. What if we are able to get you one that's a little bit better,
Yeah.
but it does the same thing?
Yeah.
Like, no, I want a Talaria. Well, I don't like that answer, dude. You better come back and figure it. You better come up with a different one because I'm not raising you to be a follower.
Yeah.
As simple as something as like that, or Dad, I want my ears pierced.
No.
Why?
Yeah. See, yeah, that killed me with the plushie thing, man. Because I asked my son too that, oh, Dad, I want this. I want all these plushies. And I was like, when did you start liking plushies? He's like, oh, I've always liked them. And I'm like, no, you've never even had one. And I was like, where'd you learn this game from? Oh, well, my cousin, he likes this. And I was like, oh, so you started liking it because you're watching it with your cousin. Well, yeah, I'm at grandma's house and we watch it. And then I started looking at it and it was a scary game. It was like some scary game that monsters follow you. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, are you just watching this because your cousin or
Is it that Five Nights at Freddy shit?
that started it? Now is Rainbow Friends. There's a bunch of
Dude,
stuff.
that Five Nights at Freddy Mariana cannot stand it.
I
I'm not gonna lie, it freaks me the fuck out too. Like, I watched the movie.
yeah, the movie, yeah. Oh, my thing
Bro.
is these kids,
I was like,
I didn't
but
wanna
but I'm gonna tread lightly, beware, because that shit is all over YouTube and people are doing spin-offs on it. And me and Mariana caught Luke watching one when we were busy doing stuff in the backyard with the quinceañera stuff, and just the songs gave me and Mariana chills.
yeah,
It sounded as if they were trying to hypnotize your kid or trying them. It was weird, dude. Like, I can't explain it,
Like
but
a dark-
you can feel it. Like, you could feel it through the screen that it was just dark. Just dark. The movie's different.
yeah,
Right? We watched it with my son because he wanted to watch it. I didn't like the movie. I don't think kids should be watching it after I watched it. I was like, I looked at my wife. I was like, we made a mistake on this one. This is creepy as fuck.
dude.
And we, as parents, we got to do that self-assessment too. Like, but my son was there. We explained it to him and everything. And even my older kids were like, Dad, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's a thing. But now we explained it to him, and I was like, Luke, does that sound right? And he was like, no. Like, I was like, then you shouldn't be watching it. And this shit's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, not even kidding.
Yeah. I don't let him watch it anymore, but they play it on Roblox. So you could be a monster and you're chasing them around and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not those dark sounds where I had to catch him too. I'm like, this is like we're not watching this. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
it
trying
was
to hear
creepy as shit,
Yeah,
dude.
he was on those songs because they made songs about it. Like they had, what's that game, Minecraft? They'll have like the Minecraft guy fighting zombies with this like crazy ass song behind him. And I'm like, dude, we're turning this off. I was like, I don't know what this is, but you're not watching this anymore. There was a time I deleted YouTube because it was that bad. I deleted it. He was crying,
That algorithm shit is real, dude.
throwing a fit, and I was like, let's go outside. We'll go outside, go to the park. He forgets about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't worry, you'll get over it.
That's why I get so excited too when like your son's here, because they don't touch a screen.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Put whatever's on there, they'll get tired of it.
That's how I know they're normal. They're
Yeah.
gonna be fine. It's because they'd rather be out here riding a bike with my wife and my daughter, watching them,
Yeah.
and or wrestling in the couch, or
Yeah.
like, dude, I just it make I, like when I saw them come out here and they were happy. Like it fills me with joy to see other kids come here and they play with each other and be happy.
Yeah.
You know,
And they like the same stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
and it's big, dude. It starts now, dude. When it comes to influence, like look at Luke. Like he wants to wrestle now.
yeah.
Like I could tell that he wants to go.
Yeah.
It's just we gotta get him. We just gotta get him there.
Yeah.
And then especially like he's around football all the time, so he wants to play football too.
That's good.
You know, and it having the littlest things, guys. Like, and people probably are like, these two, they're full of shit or whatever. But I take note of. I'm very observant, and you are too. It's you got to be aware of what your kids are doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it, even at this age. Like your boy's 7.
Yeah.
My boy's about to turn 6.
Yeah.
You know, and the influence starts now. It legitimately starts now.
And I feel like that's our job part of as a dad. You know, the wives, they have their kind of role in that, and they're more the nurturing side. It's our job to make sure we're steering our boys in the right direction and making sure they're becoming leaders. You know, and that's where we play our role. You know, we have to be that, because if we're not observant, we can't expect a random person to be observant in helping our kid. You know, can't. You have to be that person, and that can go for your friend's kid or your sister, your brothers. They're your family, so it's your job to be like, hey, that's not right. Let's do this. Let's play.
I could even take it a step further, dude, because even if my son had, like, just say we have that, like we talked about the friendship,
Yeah.
and it kind of just dawned on me right now, as men, it literally even says it in the Bible too, and it kind of further solidified what we're doing.
Yeah.
As men, we are supposed to mentor and help those that are coming after us. It legitimately says it in the Bible. From our, whether we were right or wrong, our job is to make those that are coming after us better. So when we started this, Mariana, like even when we were in church, and she was just like, I can't even get mad at you for this anymore. It was on Father's Day.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the dads out there. Happy late Father's Day, by the way.
Yes, sir.
It brought me to tears because I didn't know, like, with the conversation after we did our last podcast with my wife and everything, I kind of felt like shit. Like I'm possibly could be stealing some of her thunder. And then my wife was kind of agitated with everything too, which I get, you know?
You know, maybe that might be our first guess.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And when she heard the pastor read what he read and explain it, she looked at me. She was like, I can't even be mad anymore. And I was just like, I can't,
Yeah.
I can't, and I was speechless. I was just like, holy crap. And it's our job. And like, even, I mean, we're getting better at this. We're only going to get better, but it's one of those things. It's very important to even mentor your children's friends. Does that make sense? So when we mentioned it in before, we're kind of going back on topic, but when those kids that don't have the greatest situations at home and they're your kids' friends and your kid cares about them, take the time and mentor them.
Yeah. Yep. You know, and I had a big issue. Like, I had a big issue about coaching other kids, too. And that was kind of before Esteban got into wrestling. I was like, oh, I don't, because they didn't take it serious. And then I can tell their parents didn't even work with them. So I'm like, okay, your parents not working with you. You're not listening. Now you're causing my kid to have bad habits when he's totally coachable. And it's like, I'll just stay to my kids.
Exactly. So we had a kid. We had a kid come out. He played for me 1 year. We left the league, and then we came back to the same league. And everybody's initial impressions on this kid were bad. He heard I was coming back to the league, got extremely excited. But this kid had a bad attitude. And so to answer the question, even though your kids have friends and their parents in their household that aren't well.
Yeah.
They're not conducive for a teenager or a kid, but you're involved in that kid's life one way somehow or another. You should allow your kid to still be friends with them. To answer the earlier question, because we never answered it.
Yeah.
I think
is that
it's
to deal with that? Is it to deal with different cultures or different perspectives?
No, like just a jacked up household. Like if
Be something that wasn't there for them, you know?
yes, and I think that's mainly because you can be that mentor and that person that is the difference in that guy's life. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
absolutely.
I think it's very important that you take your role as a mentor, as a man specifically, to children, and then even boys that are teenagers coming up very seriously, because you can be the difference in that kid's life
Yeah.
and set a good standard for
Yeah.
that kid. Because with the kid that came back to the league, he heard I was coming back, and I had a talk with him. He did a complete 180, dude.
That's awesome.
Complete freaking 180. Complete 180.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's good to hear. You know, kids that are overcoming that, you know, the arrogance and being coachable. It's very hard to do. And a lot of people don't do it until they're like 40. They keep that, you know. But yeah, I think that was good talk, man. Like and subscribe. Thanks again for joining us on some Millennial Dads. Again, like and subscribe. Give us some comments. Love feedback. Hit that like button. And me and my boy Max will see you guys next time.
Later, guys. Peace.
You think you are?
You have to think I am the best guy out there.
You can attack everything.
You need to get things done.